to pure sport. Welcome back to high school sports.
Fans, I'm IHSA Commissioner Paul Knighty, and I just want to say, welcome back.
This is game time. This is Indiana high school sports. This is your IHSAA.
You want a career that will transform your life while you change the lives of others by helping them live well. With a health or exercise sciences degree from IUPUI School of Health and Human Sciences, you will gain an in-depth understanding of the healthcare industry while preparing you for a variety of graduate and professional programs in health. And with Indy as your classroom, you will have clinical options within leading hospitals right in our backyard, as well as a degree from Indiana University, reputable leaders in the healthcare industry. It all starts here.
Can't get to a computer? Then we've got you covered. Just go to the IndianaSRN app and stay up to date with all of your favorite teams. You can watch live coverage or relive the experience with our on-demand service.
You're good at basement basketball.
We're good at your insurance.
Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, online, over the phone, or in person, and stop knocking on wood.
Mortgage Group. I've been teaching here at Guerin Catholic for 13 years. I've been assistant coach also for 13 years. And I think it's important in today's world that we have young people growing up with the morals and values of faith-based education.
Hello, I'm Dwayne Thompson with Integrity Mortgage Group, and I support Guerin Catholic High School because I'm good friends and business partners with assistant coach Tommy Mascari, and any chance I have to support a Christ-centered education for today's youth, I take advantage of that opportunity and support in any way I can with my time, effort, volunteering, funds, and commercials like these.
Together we soar.
Guerin Catholic Sports on IndianaSRN,
where you're always in the game.
Live from the State Fairgrounds, Keith Myers, Troy Derogowski, Behind the Stripes Mentee Mentor Program. With us is Kelly Ford. He is the Assistant Commissioner of the Horizon League, and you've been pretty busy this week.
Yes, thank you so much. We're so excited here for the 2022 Keeps Horizon League Men's and Women's Basketball Championships at the Indiana State Fairgrounds.
Talk a little bit about the championships, because the women played this afternoon, the championship game. IUPUI won this afternoon. The men play later on tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. So IUPUI punched their ticket to the NCAA tournament on the women's side. They'll be making their first ever appearance in the NCAA tournament, so we're very excited for the Jaguars. And then tonight, as you said, we've got Northern Kentucky taking on Wright State in what's going to be an absolutely fantastic men's basketball championship game.
And that is a 3 seed versus 4 seed, because they're 1 and 2s. They're out of here, and this is a great rivalry game. Should be a lot of fun. If people are watching this local, they can come down and get tickets still.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. They are huge rivals from Dayton and Cincinnati area. 5 of the last 6 years, one of these two teams has been the Horizon League Basketball Championship champions. So we're really excited to have them here. Tickets are start at just $15. You can purchase them at horizonleague.com/Indy or come down to the Indiana Farmers box office and purchase them right there.
Talk a little bit about the league, how healthy the league is, a lot of teams in the league, and good basketball.
Yeah, our league's incredible. We've got 12 member institutions across a 7-state footprint. Men's basketball, women's basketball excellence is something that we hang our hats on. We have strategic initiatives in place to further improve excellence in men's and women's basketball. We're just so excited to have fans back in the stands and have great coaches, student athletes, and administration supporting our programs.
And it also helps that you're playing at the State Fairgrounds, a beautiful facility, and walked in today. It's beautiful out there.
Yeah, the Indiana Farmers Coliseum is a perfect place for us. It's year 3 here in the venue. We're so excited to be here. We hope to be here for a long time. But, yeah, the State Fair Commission staffs are incredible partners, and it's just a great venue for our basketball championships.
Final question. I know you do a lot of things. You're here. You're going to be over there later on tonight. When does your day relax? Because you don't sweat the big stuff, but your day started early this morning. When do you get to relax tonight?
Yeah, there will be a big party tonight for the Horizon League staff and all of our constituents after we're cutting down the nets of the men's championship game. So, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 o'clock tonight, we'll take a deep breath and celebrate all the great things that we've done throughout the championships up to this point, culminating in the men's championship tonight.
And those championships right here at the State Fairgrounds on the east side of Indianapolis should be a lot of things. I heard there was like 15 screaming kids in the gym today.
Oh, my gosh. We had 1,500 local school kids there for our school day for the women's championship. We've got this event going on over here. We've got an esports combine. We've got an International Women's Day event. We've got all sorts of amplifying events going around what is a great basketball championship on both the men's and women's side.
Thank you for allowing us to be here. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, conductor, how about something new? You played this last year.
Come on, get your head out of your sacks.
Shh, we're trying to hear.
Well, I'm sick and tired of hearing your kid play the wrong notes. Where's my kid solo?
At least you can see your kid. Why is my kid stuck way in the back?
The conductor only plays his favorite.
My kid heard that solo.
You see my kid?
All right, so welcome. I'm going to try my best to talk as loud as I can. So we are live streaming this. That's why I have the mic in my hand. So there isn't actually a PA system in the room. But I just appreciate you guys coming out. So my name is Kurt Strublow. I'm the in-arena host or MC for the Horizon League. I've had 6 games or going to have 6 games in 2 days, 2 championship ceremonies or awards ceremonies, and doing this event. So just bear with me on my voice. I've been talking a lot lately. But, again, I appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks to the Horizon League and the NCAA and the Big Ten Conference for putting this event together to show appreciation to all of the sports officials. So these folks, along with the NFHS, Indiana High School Association, are all working together to address the shortage, retention, and treatment of officials. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us. As I mentioned before, it is live streamed, so we do have IndianaSRN here. They are live streaming everything, so they may pull you aside and maybe just do a quick interview with you just to talk to some of you guys about being a mentor or some of the officials that are in the room. And we also have the United Umpires. They are here capturing the event, and RefQuest. They're here to talk to the attendees about their end-to-end officiating and administration solution. So hopefully you all picked up your welcome packets. So again, we really appreciate you guys coming out, as well as your game ticket to the Horizon League Championship when you arrive. So I'll be back over in the Indiana Farmers Coliseum, 7 p.m. tip-off. So we have Northern Kentucky University versus Wright State. So feel free to come on over and join us. So we've had some good crowds so far over there. A lot of energy in the building. So we'd love to see you guys over there. And lastly, the program for tonight is all about networking. So we really encourage you guys to get up, talk to some of the officials that are in the room. If you are an official, just spread the word, show some love to the people that are here and just, get some information out there. So as you all know, we're experiencing a shortage, and perhaps someone in the crowd could find a new sport to work just by talking to some of the fellow officials that are out here. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us, and you can go ahead and start mingling with one another as you've kind of been doing as you came in. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
I know that was kind of impromptu, everybody, but we're going to talk to Kurt here a little bit because this young man is busy. I was going to give you a title a little bit ago because you're more than the MC of this event. You were telling us how you're running all over the place. Talk about what this has been for you in the last couple of days.
So it's been crazy. So it's 2 days. I'm on, game number 6 at 7 p.m. So we have NKU and Wright State, the men's championship for the Horizon League. So it's been insane. So and then right after each one of these championship games for the women's and the men's, we also have the award ceremonies. So I'm helping, MC those too and doing different interviews and then jumping over here to help you guys out. So it's been crazy the past, 2 days with everything. But I always appreciate the opportunity and I appreciate you guys coming out and let me be a part of everything and you guys doing this and doing your interview. So it's different to be on this side of it,
I bet it is. So say we're kind of changing here, aren't we, a little bit?
Absolutely.
What do you do for a living? Talk a little bit about what you do outside of what you're doing here in these last 2 days.
Okay, so I do in-arena hosting for the Indiana Pacers, the Indiana Fever. So I'm a part-time employee for Pacers Sports Entertainment. So I've been doing that this is my 9th season going on. So I've been to 2 different NBA All-Stars and got to do different, bits with the celebrity games and the All-Star practices and all that stuff. So that was cool. So I'm very involved in the game operations and, the directing and all that, behind the scenes stuff. So, yeah.
Well, that's got to be a lot of fun in speaking of the Pacers and doing all of that for young people to get involved like you are and a chance to really get your career going in the sports entertainment world.
Right, absolutely it is. So I went to IUPUI, matter of fact, for communication studies and business, and I really didn't know what I was getting myself into and started working just doing marketing for a radio station, then ended up, kind of going forward to working for a hockey team and then landed the job with the Pacers. So it's like you never know where it's going to take you, but hey, this is where I'm at. I'm just kind of riding the wave right now, right?
Well, it does help. This is a networking event here today for those of you that you mentioned earlier a little bit ago during your talk that we have a shortage of officials, but there's also just the idea of being in Indianapolis gives everybody, the young people, a chance to get in this industry with so many different franchises.
That's absolutely correct. So, there's so many events that are coming to the city now, and I'm an in-arena host, but I DJ as well and provide music for a lot of these events. So just to be, Indiana's it's a small town or a small city, but we really put on a good show and good events, and it's a great place to be, especially someone like myself that is involved in all these events, and it's my job. So, I love living here, yeah.
Tough job, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Hey, how were you involved last year when the entire country came together for the NCAA tournament? Were you involved in that at all?
Yeah, so actually, in-arena hosting is where I'm talking, and then DJing is where I'm providing music and mixing and doing things like that on turntables. So I actually had the opportunity to be at the Indiana Farmers Coliseum and do some of the games for March Madness over there and be the in-arena DJ for them. So I wasn't doing any talking, which again was different. That was my first time really DJing in an arena setting, and it was cool. It was fun. I got to provide, national anthems to the team music as the intros to during different timeouts, so there was no dead air. So I got to do all of that portion of it, yeah.
Hey, that is something that is different, and I'm not going to show you my age, but when I was growing up, they didn't do a whole lot of that at games. How much has that changed over the years where now the entertainment value is so much more a part of the game than it used to be?
It's changed a lot. Again, I've been doing this, 9 seasons with the Pacers, but I also worked for hockey for 4 seasons, so I don't know what that adds up to, but I've been doing it a little while, and I have seen it change. We didn't have DJs, and it's all about the fans, so we want to make sure that, again, there is no dead air, and when the fans come out, it's very fan engagement. Like, we want to interact with the fans. So during COVID, it's like we're crying out because there's no fans there, so it's really hard for us. But especially we had some at the March Madness over here, but it's definitely changed over the years, and it's again all about the fans, and we really want you to have a good time when you come out.
Now the Horizon League, a lot of people think about the Big Ten, and you're a part of that as well, but the Horizon League is alive and well right here. I know the IUPI women won earlier today. I know that we had Purdue-Fort Wayne in town last night. Unfortunately, they didn't get it done, but the Horizon League is really a very nice league, and fans are going to see some good basketball tonight.
They are. So we had 1,500 students come out on a field trip for the IUPUI game, so that versus Cleveland State. So that was great. They got to come out and kind of just start at a young age and experience basketball, whether it be women's basketball or men's basketball. Yes, the Horizon League is really putting on a great show.
Now, by the way, if you want to come out, and it's a really, really fun venue too. I mentioned to you I've been over there. I say over there because it is over there a little bit from where we are, but I've been there for games with the Fuel. and I know you've been there many, many times because you work there as well. Talk about the venue and how the upgrades have been over the years.
Yeah, so I started off when it was the Pepsi Coliseum with the Indiana Ice and the USHL, and like we had mentioned, off of this interview that it was leaking and it was an old building, had been around for a while, so then they flipped it and renovated it, and I mean, it is a very small building, but it is great for, it's a cool venue to have those things. It's very intimate, so I guess would be a good word for it. So yeah, I like it.
Well, it's going to be a fun one tonight. Any predictions on this one this evening? I mean, it should be a great ball game.
Oh, man, you put me on the spot like that. 2 years ago when I did the Horizon League Championships, I think NKU took it, and they've got a lot of fans here. So I'm not going to say NKU or Wright State. I don't know. So I'll just kind of stay in the middle.
With this tonight, and you've been busy for the last 2 days, but we also have the Big Ten men's tournament that gets underway tomorrow night. So we go from this to that. Are you going to be involved with that as well?
I am not at the moment, so I have been in years past, but I'm not right now.
But it's not that they might not call you at some point and say, hey, listen, we need some help.
Right, you never know. So I don't know. I mean, it's been so different since COVID. So before it, they needed MCs and they needed the in-arena hosts and the DJs, but I don't know how things have changed since then. So yeah, I mean, if they call, I'll be ready.
Now, DJ, talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, what does it take to be a DJ and what you're talking about? It's a little different form that we're talking about on the radio and stuff.
Right, yeah. So when I mention DJ, I do mean like turntables, like I'm providing music. So again, going back to there's a host and then you have the DJ. And right now, like for the Horizon League, we have DJ Cool Hand Lex, which is one of our Indiana Pacers DJs. So he's providing the music. So like when the teams come out, he's the one that's mixing up the music and keeping it going, and no dead air for that. And then what I'm doing over there is I'm t-shirt tosses, I'm announcing, I'm up on the big screen getting the kids and the fans engaged in things, and we're doing finish the lyrics. So Cool Hand Lex will press play and then he'll stop the song, and then I've got to talk to the kid and be like, all right, what are the rest of the lyrics, that type of thing. So yeah, it's a lot of people get them mixed up, but they are separate things. So yeah.
Do they usually get the lyrics?
They have, yeah, so far, yeah, they have. So, but we've been also, it's been one or two words that they've got to finish. It's not been like a whole, portion of a song.
Can you maybe at some point surprise them a little bit, go back to the 70s when I was a kid and bring up some of the disco stuff? Do you think they'd get any of that?
I don't know if they would. I mean, they're listening to stuff that's maybe 10 years old at this point, but then there's also, the Disney movies and things like that are out, so that they're taking. And then social media is such an influence on all these kids now, too. So if it's on TikTok, you might not hear it on the radio, but if it's on TikTok, I mean, that's, again, how DJing has changed. It's like you've got to really keep your eyes and ears open to every single platform so that you know what's out there. Yeah.
Hey, listen, before we go, can I get a shot of his shoes? He has the retro Jordans. I had to do this because you set me up for it, but you said these cost a couple $100, and I said, you're wearing them out? I mean, I'd have them in a case at home.
Right, especially because it's not that great of a day outside, but I try to wear them, but I'll clean them tonight. I got to keep them clean.
All right, hey, listen, thanks. Good to see you, and good luck with everything, and maybe we'll see you down the road, okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
We'll take a break. We'll come back with more coming up in a few moments right here on the IndianaSRN.
In this seat, the pressure is high. And for this season, this is your seat. The National Federation of State High School Associations would like to thank you for supporting your child in learning positive, lifelong lessons.
Back at the Indiana State Fairgrounds, it's the refs and all kinds of stuff going with us. And right now we're with Alex, and he's with United Umpires. And you guys are umpiring balls and strikes.
Yeah, we're here trying to find new umpires out there in Florida, all over the country, trying to encourage umpires to want to be here and want to be part of the game.
Talk a little bit about your association, how long you've been doing this. I know you were an ex-umpire. You knew I umpired. It takes a different breed to do what we do. But talk a little bit about the company and what you guys do.
Yeah, so I started signing and supervising baseball way back when I was 14 years old. And, United Umpires has really only started here in 2015, but it's college baseball, it's travel baseball, it's high school baseball, and we're just trying to create a message for people where, training is important. It's important that we're good at what we're out there to do. and it's important that we service the youth, service the colleges, service the high schools. Because if we don't do something about this officiating shortage here soon, we're going to have a real problem. And it's not just in baseball and softball, but in every sport.
Talk a little bit about the shortage, because when I started, there was an overabundance of officials and everything, but the fans kind of changed and seasons kind of changed, and that's one of the hiccups is the fans got to treat the young man or the young lady who is doing the game with some respect, and maybe that has lost a little bit.
Yeah, I think a friend of mine said it best. He said, we're never going to eliminate disagreement in sports, but we need to eliminate disrespect. And I think officials everywhere are feeling disrespected and being disrespected, and kind of the proliferation of video and things like that. There's always situations now. Everything's winding up on video, and umpires and referees and officials are being criticized more and more. And I think sometimes the expectations for what we expect in a Little League game or a JV high school game, we go on TV every night and watch Major League umpires, and calls are overturned. We watch NFL officials, calls are overturned. Yet, we expect the JV high school umpire at Westfield High School to get every single call right. It's just not. It's a recipe for kind of a disaster, a recipe for not letting our officials succeed.
One of the things I did when I missed a call, I usually owned up with it later on, and then the coach says, "Well, just make it up," and you don't make it up. You just continue to work at it. Talk a little bit, if someone's out there, a young guy or young girl out there watching this tonight that wants to become an official or an umpire, how do they contact you?
Yeah, so we're on the World Wide Web at unitedumpires.org. My email address is very simple, alex@umpires.org. And we're out there trying to train baseball and softball umpires all over the country. You don't need any experience. We are looking for former athletes, especially high schoolers, college players, really in any sport that have some athletic ability that we can bring into the mix here. And I would encourage you to get in touch. We've had, a lot of guys put themselves through college, put themselves, through that car payment, through that first mortgage payment, out there doing Little League games. And if they want to progress from there, they have an opportunity with our training program. And we look forward to having anyone out there who wants to umpire and working with us at United Umpires.
The cool thing is if you want to be an ISSA official, all you have to do is be 18 years old, and you have to have a graduate degree. But other than that, it is a great part-time job, and right now it pays pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we need those part-time jobs right now. It's fun to be out on a ball field. I think, in our space, you don't even need to be 18. I mean, we're training 15, 16, 17-year-olds to work our 8s, 9s, and 10s. And honestly, there just aren't the numbers of adult officials out there to work those games. And we're in a spot where if we can find some high schoolers that are interested and really care about being out there with the kids, make that extra money, we're looking to train them up and get them going. So, come see us at United Umpires.
There you go, United Umpires. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, absolutely. We'll take a 30-second timeout. When we come back, a lot more, so stay tuned.
Hey, Mom and Dad, make me proud today. I'm playing a sport I love. I'm probably not going to be pro, or who knows, I may not even play in college. It's a game I love, and my teammates in our community want you to show good sportsmanship. Rude or verbally abusive behavior will not be tolerated today. Instead, cheer loud and be proud of our performance. Be a good role model, and please have fun watching us play. Thank you for practicing good sports momship and sports dadship today at my game.
We're back once again. Dana Pappas is with us. I was going to ask you to go ahead and tell us where you're from, because it's a heck of a lot easier for you to do it than for me to do it.
It's a long one. National Federation of State High School Associations, or you could just call us the NFHS for short.
Yeah, I can do NHS. I can do that a lot easier, that's for sure. NFHS. Hey, listen, great to have you here today. Tell us a little bit about why you're here, and then we'll talk a little bit about your background, where you came from, and what's going on right now.
Sounds great. I am here today for this wonderful mentor-mentee event. Our friends at the Horizon League and Officially Human invited me to come out, and anytime officials are around, I'm in. So definitely my honor to be here. I am now the Director of Officiating Services for the NFHS, which is how I got here. Brenda Hilton and I have been friends for a while when she started Officially Human, so now that I'm in the neighborhood, it's easier for us to link up. So I definitely here to support Brenda, Officially Human, and Sandra Walter with the IHSAA. So it's like a family reunion.
It is. Hey, all right, how did you get involved with this side of athletics where the officials, and we're going to talk more about that because Indiana is struggling a little bit getting enough officials in a lot of sports. How did you get involved?
So I actually started at the New Mexico Activities Association, which is the New Mexico equivalent of the IHSAA, in 1997, right out of college. And it was one of those things where it was kind of a fluke, to be honest with you. So one of those, you're a college student and you're looking for a job, and I ended up at the NMAA and then made a career there for 24 years. So every year that I've worked has been directly with officials in some way. I was an administrative assistant and then was promoted to the Commissioner of Officials position in 2004 in New Mexico, and have served officials my entire life. So more than half of my natural life I've been working with officials, and really the job came open at the National Federation, and it was the dream job because it was 100% service to officials and working with our membership, and really just an opportunity that it meant I had to leave New Mexico and move to the Midwest, and it's been the best life change and career decision I could have made. But my heart is with officials, and it's really, they are my family. They're everything that's important to me aside from my actual family and friends. And it's been they've been there through every hard time, every good time. So they're there to pick you up when you fall down and to celebrate your successes as well. So being able to now extend that reach and work with officials from across the country, it's the most incredible thing. I'm honored to do what I do every single day.
You had mentioned before we got on the air that in New Mexico there is not necessarily a lack of officials across the board, but here in the state of Indiana we seem to be having that very issue. What do you say to those people out there that might want to get involved to become an official and really help get that gap back to where it used to be?
And, every state is a little bit different, but we did a study recently with the National Federation and found that from 2018-19 to 2020-2021, we've lost about 50,000 officials in all sports in that time frame. So we know that COVID is a part of it. We know that sportsmanship issues are a part of it. We know some of it's retirement. We know some of it is internal issues with the associations. There's a lot that goes into why people are leaving the avocation. But the thing about officiating is if you love sports, do it. The question isn't why should you be an official? The question is why shouldn't you be an official? It's something that allows you to prolong your athletic career. I mean, unless you're Tom Brady, you're not playing football into your 40s. So it's a great way to continue to stay active in a sport that you love, to give back to communities, and to give student athletes the opportunity to participate in the things that we did. We always hear, without officials, there's no games. Without officials, it's just recess. All of that is true. And there's no better way to not only stay active, stay in shape, give back, be a community servant, and then have these lifelong friendships. Those are the bonuses. So all too often we hear about some of the negative stuff with officiating, but when you think of the positives and the rewards and just that lifelong family of people who support you, it's so special. It's the best aspect of sports that I can think of, and it's just, I would encourage anybody who has a love for sports to try it out. And once it gets in your blood, you'll love it.
Okay, I'm going to admit I'm an official. Okay, so I kind of know. But on the other side of it, you mentioned the sportsmanship side, and that is probably the one thing I noticed the most. And I've been doing it a couple of years. I got licensed before, and then I came back and did it again. That it seems like sometimes the fans are getting a little bit too to the point where it's not fun to do. And you, even at the smaller kids level, where you think, well, it should be okay here, but it doesn't turn out to be okay. How do you address that?
So our executive director, Dr. Carissa Niehoff, just actually did a fantastic article in the NFHS Voice where she talked about sportsmanship issues and really kind of called everybody out as far as being able to do some self-checks and be accountable for your behavior and understand that when you're yelling at the officials or at other players or at coaches, you're embarrassing your kid. And I think that sometimes, it's emotional. Sports are an emotional thing, and we know that. And high school sports and youth sports are especially emotional because every person out there is somebody in the stands kid. So it's one of those, it's very special about sports. And you're in a smaller setting where if somebody's yelling, you can probably hear it instead of being at Lucas Oil Field where there's a whole bunch of voices that might be yelling at you and it just sounds like a big noise. But I think for individuals who have children in youth sports, high school sports, you have to do better. We all have to do better. Even if you're sitting on your couch watching a game and you're irritated with something that you thought was a bad call, understand that officials are human. And I think that that's the element that everybody forgets, is that players aren't perfect, coaches aren't perfect, officials aren't, but that's what the expectation is. Everybody wants officials to walk onto the court or field, be perfect when they walk in, and get better as the game goes on. So it's an interesting aspect of sport, but I think that we all, fans, parents, have just got to do a better job of understanding and respecting that officials are human as well, and that officials have families, and you could be sitting next to their kid when you're going crazy on an official. So just put yourself in their shoes and understand that it's inappropriate. It's wrong at that level.
Okay, if I may, before we wrap up, what can people do to get more information if they want to become an official? It does take some training, and it does take, you just can't walk out there and start blowing whistles. It takes a little training. You
can't. Everybody thinks that you just walk out there and start blowing whistles, but there is some training involved. So every state is set up a little bit differently. If you're here in Indiana, you would contact Sandra Walter at the IHSAA. You could look at our website. We actually have highschoolofficials.com, where you can fill out an interest form, and we'll get you located with the individuals in your state that can get you connected to training and classes and let you know kind of what the testing requirements and all of that are. So highschoolofficials.com, that's our Become an Official campaign, which we work with at the National Federation, or you can contact your state association, but certainly my contact information is at nfhs.org, and if anybody has questions for me, I'm always excited to help new officials and veteran officials too.
You mean there's a test? They forgot to give me the test. Well, I just jumped in there. What happened?
So you were one of the ones that actually did just run out there and start blowing whistles. Oh, all right. At least you were brave enough to go and do it, so that's good.
It's going to be fun. Hey, listen, thank you very much, and anything we can do, let us know, okay?
I will. Thank you so much.
Let's send it back over to Keith.
Well, I officiated with Troy, and let me tell you, you don't want to referee with Troy. With us now is Kyle Armstrong, David Pierce, and Mark Baltz. Mark did NFL football and high school basketball. He probably doesn't remember, but he used to do games before I did JV, and then he told me to leave the game, and now I'm a broadcaster. So obviously I took his advice. Kyle, talk a little bit about Ref Refs.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, we're super excited to be here, super excited to be partnering with the IHSAA and a lot of other programs and state associations around the country to provide training and education for sports officials. There's a huge shortage of sports officials, and being able to go through high schools and universities to teach them up and train them the right way, and then let them tap into knowledge of individuals like Mark. It's been incredible.
And David, a lot of people seen your logo because you're a part of IndianaSRN, and IUPUI, also sports management, is part of IndianaSRN. So you did double dips all the time with us.
Yeah, we're dipped in a few ways with you. This is awesome to get a chance to work with Kyle and Mark and the Ref Reps team. It's kind of an idea that spawned out of a class project in my senior capstone class at IUPUI, focused on sports innovation, and it's awesome to see it kind of come to fruition and be where it is today.
Mark, tell me, the hardest call you ever had to make?
Probably stepping on the floor the first time I ever officiated.
Talk a little bit about the shortage of officials, Mark. You know about this. You're helping with the association to get that done. What can we do as fans to maybe encourage these officials to go out and referee?
I think the best thing you can do is lighten up on the officials in the first place. The average fan, a lot of officials get started in officiating and they get out of it right away because of the abuse, and there's a lot of ways to curb that, and officiating education is probably the main way to make that happen, by training the officials the right way, the way I was trained 500 years ago. I never had that problem because we were trained how to deal with the fan. And these young officials today, they get their license with very little training, and they're just intimidated.
Kyle, one of the things with Mark's experience, and he's got that, he's showing off that ring. I won't tell you what it is, but he's got a couple of those. Yeah. But, you look at the experience of the officials, and with IndianaSRN now being part with you guys, helping with that, we have officials actually watching our videos. As you mentioned, you had 4 or 5 guys say, hey, we're watching the game. They can learn that way as well. Video is a big part of getting these officials ready.
Well, absolutely, and that's one of the biggest things when I met Mark. one of the biggest problems they had was just getting access to video. Coaches and players had it for forever, but how do the officials get it? And so that's the other thing that's very unique about ref reps. Not only are we giving them video, but giving them that point of view. So the first time you go to officiate often is the first time you ever make a call. I mean, it's the first time you're on the court, but with us, you actually get to see it as an official would experience the game. So it's just totally changing the way that they get started and develop going forward.
And next year, IndianaSRN is doing You Make the Call. We're working on production with that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And I know David's going to have his little clever thing, but a 30-second clip of You Make the Call. We tell you the call, but we'll also how you get involved in the local associations.
Absolutely, and that's going to be so huge. Like Mark said, lightening up on the officials is huge, but starting to understand the effort they put in. I mean, the amount of time that Mark put in to be a high school basketball official while being an NFL referee. I mean, it's unbelievable. So lightening up, but then also taking that chance. You know, it's a great avocation. It's a great way to stay involved in the game for 50 years like Mark did. You know, and we need them. We need them bad.
David, I know you don't have $200 shoes, but you got $99 shoes on. Talk a little bit about the sponsorship with IndianaSRN and your affiliation with IUPUI.
Yeah, it's been great. You know, I work in the School of Health and Human Sciences at IUPUI, and we've got 3 departments in tourism and kinesiology and also in the health sciences area, and it's been a great way for us to reach our prospective students who are in high school. So a lot of families, watching I think over 400 games across the year. You get a ton of viewers online going back and watching it on demand. So we feel like our message is reaching a good market.
And Mark, finally, one of the things that I'm glad that we didn't have video back when I started refereeing, or I would never have been as good as I was because I was not very good. Thank you for your patience and your love and your mentorship over the years.
Well, you're welcome, but you learned the hard way, and we're just trying to make it easier and better. The game's better, the coaching's better, everything else is better. We're trying to keep the officiating just as good, if not better, above the level of the play. So we're well on the right way.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I appreciate you guys' time. Thanks, boss. Appreciate it. Thanks, Mark. We'll take a break. When we come back, a lot more in store for you. We're live from the Indiana State Fairgrounds.
A licensed sports official is a great way to make a positive difference in the community and support the over 160,000 Indiana student athletes that participate across 22 IHSAA sports. Sports officiating allows you to stay connected to the game, become a role model for our young student athletes, earn extra money, and support the patrons and communities of our IHSAA member schools. To learn more about becoming a licensed IHSAA official, log on to ihsaa.org/officials today.
Hey, welcome back. Bo Borowski is a Big Ten official. And by the way, I've got to mention here real quick, and I said this to you off the air, that Kyle Ingram told me not to listen to him because I can't believe anything you say. Do you believe what he would say that?
Well, my mother taught me, if you don't have anything nice to say. So when I hear Kyle Ingram's name, that's what I think of my mother, and I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. Is that a fair analysis?
It's a very fair analysis. So
where'd you find Bo Borowski?
I got him right over there.
He's hiding. I'll let you do the interview.
Thank you.
I don't know how to do is hide, I can assure you.
Hey, we're here today to talk about officials and such, and give me a little bit about your background and what you got interested in being an official and really getting to the level you're at right now.
Well, I've been officiating since I was 5 years old, and it started, quite honestly, we had 3- and 4-year-old leagues in my hometown, and I was the oldest kid. So I was always the one that wanted the whistle, and when I was 6 years old, now I was dealing with the 4- and 5-year-olds. When I was 8 years old, I was dealing with the 6- and 8-year-old biddy ball type stuff. And it was a natural progression for me because I was involved in the sports. And what would happen is I'd go down for the 8, 9, 10 o'clock games to officiate, and my game was at 11. So it was in my DNA, and it came through my father as well. So he was an umpire in the Armed Forces, U.S. Air Force, when he was stationed in Germany for many years. So I was bred to be an official well before I even knew it.
It does take a certain kind of individual, though, to do it, and I mean that in a really good sense because bottom line is you got to have some thick skin at times, and sometimes you know it can be kind of uncomfortable and such. But what made you stick with it and say, listen, because you had to work your way through the ranks?
Yeah, I was so into the sports in general. I loved watching them, and to learn the rules of the game, it just felt like a natural fit. That if I wasn't playing, I could officiate. So it was a way, certainly to keep me out of trouble. I still managed to get in my share, but nevertheless, it was something that kept me close. I loved reading the rule book. I loved being able to have a conversation with people about by rule. I loved starting all sentences with that. And it's just been something that started as a hobby and has evolved into full-time employment for me at this point.
Tell me then about the progression. What did you go through to get here?
Yeah, so I did that kind of youth progression, and then when I got involved in high school sports, I stayed involved in the winter season because I was a baseball guy growing up. So I ended up playing college baseball, and even in my off season during that mini-mester time in December, I would still go in Birmingham, Alabama, and officiate youth basketball games, middle school games. And then after I graduated college, I had shoulder surgery and the Major League Baseball dream was dead. I started to take a little bit more serious, and I heard about camps, the camp program to be identified. I committed probably 3 or 4 summers, 6 or 8 weekends each, being identified, and I got myself in a pipeline that allowed me to understand how the system worked. The commitments needed to be made, and quite honestly, it allowed me to compare myself to other officials. I need to comb my hair, I need to shave, I need to look the part. All those things were a part of being groomed. I had mentors that were a part of everything at every level associated with officiating. Ultimately, what ended up happening as a 22-year-old, I was given the opportunity to work small college basketball. And then my coordinator at the time, Eric Harmon, got some Division I leagues, and I got some opportunities there, and the rest is history.
Kidding. Now, you're going to be working the Big Ten tournament here starting tomorrow. I don't know what your schedule is, but it starts tomorrow.
It does start tomorrow. I don't know what my schedule is either. We find out each day. So, yep. So it's 2 games obviously start tomorrow. There's I've had years where I've worked that first round of the tournament. I've had years where I've just gone home and watched them on TV. So we'll find out at our lunch tomorrow.
What advice do you give then young people? This is one of the reasons we're networking here tonight, is try to get people more involved in officiating. And in the state of Indiana, you may know officials across the board, they're just not there anymore, and we're trying to get them back. What advice do you give them?
Well, the recruitment and retention efforts that are underway, and obviously Brenda Hilton is doing God's work here, trying to fill those coffers. We have got to find a way off the court to create a system that's safe. We've got to create an atmosphere that creates a clear path for advancement, that gives officials an opportunity to receive constructive criticism, viable feedback, and to give them something to work towards. And we're all a part of that equation. That's why I'm so happy to be here, and our members of our staff are here. At the end of the day, we can't rely on just an assumption that there's teams playing, there's going to be referees showing up. We know referees aren't showing up. And when we have issues with basketball officials in this state from a recruitment retention issue, that's a pretty good glimpse into the national outlook of the officiating problem. So, so many people identify the problems. People like Brenda are offering solutions for the issue, and we want to be a part of that.
What is the biggest issue then? Is it the sportsmanship? Is that what it is? There are a lot of, and I understand people want to be paid certainly for their work, but is it the sportsmanship side?
Sportsmanship's a major part of it. It used to be your dentist would be your referee that night, or even go back further, the priest was the official. Your dentist and your priest aren't doing that anymore. There is very little accountability related to the stakeholders in the game, and that starts in many instances, and a lot of studies have been done, it starts with the head coach. but it also leaks into the administration. Is there a clear-cut game administrator, somebody the official can go to when they identify an unsafe situation? The treatment of sports officials has obviously deteriorated, but with the amount of cameras that are now involved, what's happened is in the past, what people may have moved on from as a marginal call. There's 4, 5, 6 angles, even at the high school level. You mix in HD and 4K, and you've got definitive evidence of an incorrect call. The criticism that comes with that has created an environment of an expectation of perfection, and it's just not realistic.
Do you like that side of it? I mean, from a personal standpoint, that you can go to the table if you need to see a replay and such?
Yeah, replay overall is a positive for sure. I think, sticking with what I know, the NCAA has done a great job of finding a balance of trips to the monitor, limiting it to, the last 2 minutes of the second half or an overtime period. Requiring that the officials make a call on the floor. One of the concerns is that officials will rely on the monitor to officiate the game, and I think they've done a good job of saying, no, you still need to make a judgment. And when we have indisputable visual evidence, we'll make a change. But the stakeholders have spoken. Human error is not acceptable, and that's both fortunate and unfortunate. I love the flow of the game, and the last 2 minutes of a game can be painful, and I'm responsible for that pain sometimes, and I don't like it either. But again, the stakeholders have said we want the games to end right. We want the appropriate outcome, and I can buy into that for sure. My concern is that we're going to rely too much on technology, and the expectation of perfection will never be achieved, even with the use of video replay.
Yeah, I got to ask you, it's not easy, though. Let's just be bluntly honest about it, because if somebody's going to get involved in being an official, it takes a lot of training, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of repetition, and if you want to get to where you're at, it's going to take a lot of investment of their time and such. That's not an easy thing for people to do. What if they want to just stay at the high school level? Is that something, then again, not everybody can do it. That's the other point I'm trying to make, is that a lot of people out there think they can do it, and it's not an easy thing to do.
Well, the biggest thing from an officiating perspective is to set realistic expectations. I'm involved in a camp situation where our whole approach is identify, teach, train, and develop. And we send out questionnaires after the camp. What's your expectation coming out of the camp? And 90 to 95% of them are painfully unrealistic. And so part of our goal is to make them understand that the pyramid gets smaller at the top. And it's not just the one referee that throws the ball up in the championship game of the Final Four that should be happy. You should be the best at the level you're at. We have to set those realistic expectations. And one of the ways we do that is to provide a clear path for advancement. And we have to get officials to talk exclusively about officiating and not other officials, and not what's wrong with the IHSA, and not what's wrong with the NCAA, or why the NBA is good or bad. I think if we can get people fully invested, and not just the on-court, but getting better off the court, we know they're going to be on their phones. Let's give them a video-centric solution to teach and train. Let's penetrate their social circle where their friends off the court are their partners on the court. It's going to create this paradigm shift to where we can refill the coffers. Right now, and the pandemic didn't help, we've got people that are doing, P&L spreadsheets of the time they invest in officiating versus the return, the revenue they get for game fees, and it's quite often it's in the red. And this can't be looked at as a part-time gig. We want people fully committed to the craft of officiating and the art of officiating. And that's more difficult to do today. You combine the pandemic with maybe a generation of officials that aren't the best communicators that they need to be, we've got a recipe for disaster. And in this state, when we have issues filling slots for high school boys and girls games, we've got problems nationally.
Do you anticipate it's going to have a rebound? Do you see any data that says this could be the case?
Well, the data tells us when the market's great, the number of officials decreases. Yes, and when there's expendable cash available, people don't enter the officiating space because they look at this as a way to get some discretionary money. And when the market's in the green and all is right with the world, Sandra and her people at the IHSA have a difficult time registering officials. So the data tells us that, and I think they've been responsive in how to address those items, especially from a recruitment standpoint. Who are we going after? We have to have boots on the ground. So many people identify the issues, what's wrong with the world of officiating. Very few people offer solutions. I gave Brenda credit for doing God's work and trying to figure that out. I could tell you, Sandra at the IHSAA, we talk about it all the time. Who do we go after? Is there a military connection here? Former athletes. They've got some great things going with high school curriculum where they come out of high school, they take classes, and they're already licensed, they're already registered. They're removing financial barriers that exist in getting licensed. So we're trying to get people in the pipeline as possible. And it's not a high school issue. It's not a college issue. It's a more broad officiating issue. Gosh, I go back to high school in the state of Indiana. Can you imagine what the case may be at some of the less popular sports in Idaho, Montana, some of these urban populations? We're in a dangerous time because it has a direct impact on the student athlete and the overall experiences. We've got to get coaches involved, and they've been complicit in some of the issues that we've had, because we know one of the items that I look at almost as a Bible is that the NCAA Division III commissioners put together a study. It's the D3CA report, and it tells us that the head coach in all sports is the biggest factor in fan behavior. They react and respond how their head coach acts. And if that head coach is not held responsible by their administrator, it's a recipe for disaster. And I go around and watch high school games. I've got a high school just a half a block from my house. I'm friends with the athletic director. I'm friends with the head coach. And when I walked in and I saw some of the behavior that was being allowed, I can't imagine that any official would agree to officiate in that type of environment. It's dangerous. And so that's at the core of what needs to change moving forward. We have to have clearly defined parking spots for officials, right? Doesn't that sound like obvious? We have to have security for officials. How about a locker room, towels, a shower, a hydration station, access to water, a clearly defined game manager? So if there is an issue, these are basic best practices approach that simply don't exist. And we're working with Brenda and quite honestly people like Sandra to change, to give ourselves a chance not only to recruit the officials but to retain the officials. The other side of your question is the finances associated with it. The demands have increased. You need to do these 5 things. Well, just a few years ago, maybe it was only these 2 or 3 things. Yet the money doesn't match the effort, and people just throw their hands up. And then you tie in that mistakes that they make in that moment live on in infinity in the social media world. That's why the priest and the dentist aren't doing it anymore, and I can hardly blame them.
Listen, good talking to you. Thank you. And listen, I hope you get some games this week. I can watch you on TV. Okay?
Yeah, well, I'm going to show up there, so just I'll go where they send me, and you tell Kyle Ingram if you can get him a message. We'll take him back. That's how desperate we are for officials. We'll take Kyle Ingram back.
I'll tell him. Thank you. Hey, we'll take a quick timeout. We'll come back with more here from the Indiana State Fairgrounds on IndianaSRN.
Hey, conductor, how about something new? You played this last year.
Come on, get your head out of your sacks. We're trying to hear. Well, I'm sick and tired of hearing your kid play the wrong notes. Where's my kid solo?
At least you can see your kid. Why is my kid stuck way in the back?
The conductor only plays his favorite.
I can earn that solo!
You see if I did it?
Yeah!
Come on!
Back at the State Fairgrounds with us now is Sandra Walters. She's one of the assistant commissioners of the Indiana High School Athletic Association and a big fan of IndianaSRN. How are you this evening?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing well. This is pretty cool. You expected 50 guys. You have about 35, 40 guys. They're mentoring and talking about officiating. You're signing up officials. We've heard all night long that there is a need. Where is that need? Is it basketball or is it clear across the board?
Well, first of all, guys and girls. And yes.
Sorry. Can I redo that? No, I won't.
So I would tell you in Indiana, basketball is probably one of our least needs. Always better quality needed, without question. But we license out of our 6,000 or so, 3,500 of those are basketball officials. Where we really struggle this year, volleyball, wrestling, track and field, swimming, gymnastics, soccer. What am I missing?
How about lacrosse?
We don't sanction it.
Okay.
Unified flag football. Unified flag football.
Bowling. Jerry just said it by your bowling. Now, you could brag because there was a female official that worked the state finals this year. She started when I started officiating. I tell you how, she's a little bit younger than I am. But how special was that? And you also had 3 doing a semi-state game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was a regional final, actually, with and Lexi Hayes, good young official, daughter of an official, Craig Hayes, who's been around for a while. Carmen Hawk is who you're talking about. And, man, Carmen's so excited for her. I mean, she's worked her way up, as you said. Carmen Hawk has 3 kids, full-time mom, full-time job, and officiates. This was her 3rd sport to officiate at the state finals, and I was ecstatic. You know, you put the data together at the end of regular season to line people up so that you know where your applicants, where they are and then how they're assigned. And when they fall into that top 12, they're making it to the show, and Carmen fell into that top 12 this year.
Talk a little bit, if you will, about the association and how they're maintaining officials, but it starts with training those officials, and you're looking at kids at 18-year-old kids that want to play or officiate. Talk a little bit about that. And there's some schools now that are teaching some classes here in Indiana.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about kids 14 to 19 years of age who are still in high school. And so we're reinstituting what we called back in the day the provisional license. But Kyle Armstrong and his group with Ref Reps has built a curriculum with some really interactive video from a drone's perspective and then a GoPro's perspective of the official on the floor or the field, and putting that into every high school in the state if they want to. We now have from the IDOE the course number and the course description. And so we've piloted with 7, as you know, from around the state, everywhere from Mitchell up to South Bend. And those 7 schools are piloting it right now, trying to kind of walk through that curriculum and give us some ideas of how to improve it before we roll it out to the masses in the fall.
And with events like this and other events, it helps. And it's just not you, it's the other commissioners. But I have now seen it. The association got invited to the association breakfast a couple of months ago. Those guys are just excited about what you're doing. And it's really kind of interesting because those associations are now mentoring young officials as well.
Yeah, so we're lucky in Indiana. We have 24 different officials associations, so there's one in everyone's backyard. And the training comes largely through them. We do meet quarterly. You were kind enough to attend our quarterly meeting and have breakfast with us, and we certainly appreciate that. But we have some really strong leaders there. We've got a few of them here tonight who are specifically mentoring chairpersons for that association. And what happens there, we take groups of young people that we gain tonight, we hook them up with those mentoring chairs across the state. We have several in Ohio tonight here, or right on the border. And so we'll hook them up with that mentor. We do that for 3 years, and it keeps them in the profession. And it gives them a veteran official by which to learn.
One of the things that Jerry just said in my ear, I never will miss a meal. That is so true. So that's why I did that. But finally, this week is a very busy week in the state of Indiana. We have regional for boys basketball. We have gymnastics state championship. You're going to be there all year. Talk a little bit about the atmosphere and the city buzz, because the fans are back in the stands, and it's really healthy for our association.
Yes, it is. It's very healthy for our kids, our coaches, bringing those kids back to an environment that we all grew up with, love. The lessons those kids learn through athletics are second to none, we feel. And, you know, the last couple of years have been rough. And so getting those kids back and the comfort of their parents to let them come back and participate again and we have seen some large crowds and people coming out to watch those kids and to watch them do what they do. It's been fantastic.
Okay, 30 seconds. Do the plug for IndianaSRN. I paid you $50. Do the plug for IndianaSRN, and then we'll take a break.
We love IndianaSRN. If you're not tuning in to IndianaSRN, who've done hundreds of broadcasts for us, you need to do that. IndianaSRN.
All right, Jerry's got a check for you. We're going to take a 30-second break. When we come back, a lot more for you.
Hey, Mom and Dad, make me proud today. I'm playing a sport I love. I'm probably not going to be pro, or who knows, I may not even play in college. It's a game I love, and my teammates in our community want you to show good sportsmanship. Rude or verbally abusive behavior will not be tolerated today. Instead, cheer loud and be proud of our performance. Be a good role model, and please have fun watching us play. Thank you for practicing good sports momship and sports dadship today at my game.
Welcome back to the Indianapolis Fairgrounds. We're talking a lot about officials, as you probably know by now, and certainly recruiting officials and retaining officials is one of the big keys to making sure that we still have officials. Bill Eck is with us, and you're from the state of Ohio. We won't hold. I'm a Michigan fan, by the way.
No, come on, Troy. Come on now. Yeah.
I wasn't going to mention that, but I thought I'd throw that in there. Hey, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're located from, and then what do you do as an official and an assigner?
Great. Troy, I'm from Akron, Canton area in Ohio, close to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I oversee Division III, Division II, NAIA, and some junior colleges in 7 different states. So I have 135 teams that I assign for, and I have over 300 officials underneath my umbrella, and it's called Elite Officiating. So it's Division II again, Division III, NAI, and junior college. So,
and let me ask you from that standpoint, you probably don't have a real difficult time keeping officials or getting officials. Is that accurate, or are you still looking in that area too?
I will tell you, Troy, the last couple of years have been challenging. With COVID, and then we had a lot of guys that kind of exited because of just either COVID or their jobs changed or they just got burned out of officiating, and it's decreasing every year since COVID. But we have, at this level, it's not like the high school. We still have a lot of guys that are trying to progress to Division I, so they got to go through Division II or Division III first. So it's not as bad as at the high school or junior high, but it's still the shortage is hitting us.
What does it take then to get to that level? And I don't even want to think yet about the level of going up to Division I, but what does it take then to at least get to that level and go from there?
I think the first thing is you got to be really solid with just your core with being a good high school official. And then once you get that underneath your belt and then going to camps, we have training and development camps in the summer that we have clinicians, we do videotaping, we do guys that are getting critiqued on their game, and then we do classroom sessions where we bring the campers in and we talk to them about stuff that they need to work on. It really advances most people's careers if they try to at least develop something in the camp over the summer. And then I try to identify officials throughout. It doesn't really matter the state or whatever, but we try to find quality guys to bring them in maybe at the smaller college, junior college, and then kind of progress them up to Division III, Division II, and then if they got the talent, they'll get to Division I.
It's not an easy thing, and certainly I've been talking with some of our other guests that I know a lot of the general public may thinking that officiating is easy. You know, I mean, they see you out there doing it. How hard can that be? But it's really a very difficult profession.
You know, it's challenging. There's you have the atmosphere of the fans, the crowd, and there's a lot more pressure because of there's more videotape now, there's more TV, and there's a lot more cameras. In the past, you didn't have all that, but every game it's either streaming or somebody. The grandma's got the camera, so there's just so much more scrutiny on us because of just the technology. And then all the games are very meaningful, obviously, for the parents, the student athletes, and the coaches. So there's a lot of pressure, and you want to perform. I mean, because those kids work so hard throughout the day, or the coaches, and you want to make sure you give your best effort because you know how hard they work. And it doesn't really even matter. I mean, even the little kids, they're practicing 3 or 4 or 5 times a week. The parents are coaching, and they're putting in a big effort, and I think it's important for the officials to do the same.
But the one argument I hear so much, and you can address this if you wouldn't mind, is that a lot of officials probably feel, number one, that why do I take this abuse? Well, and I'm talking even at the high school level and lower, because sometimes it seems like it's worse there than it probably would be at the college level. It's hard for people to say, why do I want to put myself out there on that?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. There's certain people's personalities that it just doesn't fit. They don't have the skin, so to speak, to handle the criticism that they get. So it's really important that you have that, ability to be able to take criticism. A lot of the good officials just block it off, and they just, they'll laugh about it. It's like, okay, because they're fans, they're fanatic about their teams. But it does take a special person to be able to do that. I've known some really good officials that got out of it because they just couldn't handle all the nonsense that they get from the sidelines. And I think that's another big thing, Troy, to be honest with you, why we're struggling with officials is just at the youth level, there's a lot of either parents or fans that are just really on like younger officials or somebody that's new, and they're still trying to learn, but they're also trying to deal with the pressure from the fans or whatever yelling. So it's a balancing act, and I think some people just said, it's just not for me. I'd rather go do some other avocation.
Now, I know you mentioned the training, which is, I think, fantastic. But as you said, if you're officiating some of the younger leagues and such, and you really don't get as much training as you need, and yet you're still facing that the fans are doing what they're doing, how do you, like you said, it's kind of a fine line there. How do you balance it?
It's tough. We try to put, especially depending on the sport, but in basketball, we try to put a veteran official with a younger person to try to help mentor that person through the game, and then try to during timeouts they'll talk and say, okay, we got to do this a little bit better, we got to do that a little bit better. But the good assigners try to balance. They know if they got 2 rookies that it's probably not going to be as successful, to try to get a veteran matched up with them. So that's what we try to do, and I think that helps when we got guys that have mentors and trying to guide them, and they'll talk on the phone, they'll critique after the game, they'll sit in the car and say, okay, what could we have done better, what went good, what went bad, and what we can do better for the next game.
It is a commitment if you're going to do it, and you want to be serious about it. It takes time. As you said, it takes an effort to go to camps and get better. So if anybody's interested in doing it, be prepared for that side of it.
Yeah, there's a commitment. I mean, obviously, the higher you go in your levels, the commitment gets more. Okay, so the commitment is you got to know the rules. The first thing is to be, you build your foundation with knowing the rule book, knowing the mechanics of what we're trying to do. And then it's just getting the experience, working the lower levels and then gaining it. Some guys don't want to, or ladies don't want to go through the process. They want to go from starting to Division I. Well, there's a ladder that you got to go through those steps, and all those little steps, whether it's junior high, whether it's little league, whatever, all those things are building blocks, and those are experiences to help you. But there is a commitment. Your family's got to be committed. I mean, your wife, your kids. I mean, it's a comprehensive thing. I mean, if you try to do this on your own without the support, it will crack.
Last, before I let you go, and I really appreciate your information today because I think it's very helpful. What advice do you give right now if somebody's watching this and saying, you know what, I think I might want to try that? What would you tell them right now?
Try to, first of all, we're looking, obviously, in every sport, there is such a need for officials. I mean, I'm so worried about some of the sports not even being able to be played because we don't have people. So if anybody has interest, reach out and go to a game and talk to that umpire on that game, talk to that basketball official on the game to say, hey, how do I get involved? There's local associations all over Ohio, Indiana, Michigan. You can talk to somebody, they'll get you hooked up with the right person. And then you start with an online class, or you go to a class, and you just start talking to anybody that's in officiating. Actually, you can Google officiating if you want in your local area, and I think if you find one person, they'll help you start to develop where you want to go. And like today in this symposium, I met 2 or 3 people here that are interested in doing college, and I've got numbers, and we're starting to progress already through camps and stuff. So find somebody that's got a striped shirt on and say, how did you do this? And they'll help you.
Very good. Thank you very much. Good luck. Nice to meet you, too.
Take care.
Let's send it back over to Keith.
And one of the officials that came to this and is with us now is Blake Scott. And you're from Ohio. And what got you interested in officiating?
I think I was playing in a basketball game, actually, in a rec basketball game. And the official, he came up to me and we were just talking. And I was like, I want to do this. I want to try this because it looks pretty cool. And he was like, yeah, I mean, you just take the class and you can take it from there. And that's how I got into it. Now, the hardest thing is just getting used to getting yelled at. Are you married yet? I'm not married, but I got a girlfriend, so I'm almost. I get yelled at quite a bit.
Well, there's the key. If you can get that done, you got it done. What is the steps that you're taking? Are you doing high school? Are you doing a little bit of league play, or rec ball? What are you doing of officiating this time?
Sure. So I started on lower level, so youth basketball, and I'm doing a little bit of high school rec and things like that. So.
How hard, or is it easy to find games because there's a shortage? So is it easy to find games? And talk to your buddy out there who's going to make some money. It's a nice little part-time job.
Sure. I mean it's pretty easy to find games right now just because there's a shortage, like you said, and so you just got to be strong-willed, and people are going to yell at you and get on you a little bit, but I mean it's worth it in the end. And if you're looking for some extra money, it's definitely there.
One of the things that Mark Baltz taught me, and he is here, he was an NFL official, 50% of the people are going to love you, 50% of the people are going to hate you. When you go home, make sure that you got your wife's team right, win. But all in all, you got to get used to that. But what's your favorite call in high school basketball?
My favorite call in high school basketball, I like calling travels. And this is why I like to, I have a patient whistle, you know what I mean? So I'm going to raise my hand and you're going to wait to see what it is, you know what I mean? And then once I just get my travel call and I'm going the other way, that's just my favorite. I love that motion. I love that mechanic.
Okay, the Euro step. It wasn't in the game when I was officiating. It was called travel. Help me understand the Euro step.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a little demonstration. So I don't think that I don't think it's a travel.
It's a travel.
But, I mean, if you got a guy and he takes a dribble and he goes here, 1, 2, I don't see the problem. But, I mean.
Okay, you have not seen some of our guys in our program with IndianaSRN, our broadcasters. Some guys go 1, 2, 3, 4. They're doing the 4 square.
Of course.
Okay. If someone's out there watching you tonight, and you got anybody to say hi to, because you're world famous now. This is on the World Wide Web.
My girlfriend Kayla. What's up, baby? My mom. What's up, Mom? Almost happy birthday. We're going to that concert this weekend, so yeah.
IndianaSRN.org. That's what you call them right now. They can watch the replay.
Sure.
Good luck in your officiating.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Making a great choice. When we come back, Brenda Hilton will be joining me and Troy right after this.
In the parent seat. 1. Develop an awareness. Recognizing that you may be part of the problem in the stands is the first step to addressing it. This in itself can be challenging, as typically you are the last one to know if you are part of the problem. 2. Understand the benefits. Recognize the benefits that participation in interscholastic activities provides your student. Interscholastic activities provide a platform that promotes fitness, the opportunity to be part of a team and community, can improve your students' confidence, and provides an opportunity to learn new skills and improve current skills. 3. Embrace the growth and development of your student. By participating in activities, your student will have many opportunities to learn life lessons that will help him or her as they transition into adulthood. Taking a hands-off approach at times can be difficult for parents, but also rewarding for both the student and the parent. It can allow the student to gain confidence and independence to deal with their own obstacles. And many times, this independence can be one of the most important challenges to strengthening trust in your relationship. Knowing that your student is struggling can bring some comfort because it is evidence that your student is on a path to adulthood. 4. Visualize yourself as a respectful spectator. Many studies indicate that the #1 reason kids participate in sports and activities is to have fun. Please keep that top of mind and in perspective throughout the school year. Emphasize to your student that they should enjoy the experience and, above all, have fun. Understanding and communicating this perspective can provide balance and support when it is needed the most and ensure a fun and enjoyable interscholastic experience for your child. 5. Consider
Back live at the State Fairgrounds. Yeah, that's you on TV, see? You might want to say hi to people. Troy Daragowski, Keith Myers, and it's been a fun evening. And this is Brenda Hilton, who has invited us to do this. You will never invite us to do this again, will you?
Whatever. Yes, I will. Okay. Yes.
Talk a little bit about the whole entire program and how this started in your brain, and now it has blown up to be this. And you had a good number of people here tonight.
We did. Back in 2019, founded Officially Human, thought, wow, how are we going to humanize sport officials? And then in 2020, the Horizon League came to me and said, hey, can we do a joint venture on officiating? And so we did a symposium in 2020, and it was pretty good, and then we just have run with it from there. And the biggest thing for us is just bringing people together. How do we bring people together to talk about officiating? How do you get mentors together with mentees? And how in the world do we get more people signed up to become officials? The cool thing about tonight is we really push this out on social media a lot, and I'm surprised and happy to report that we have about 10 people here that have never officiated again. They're interested. Yeah.
Well, the one thing that I've heard the most talking to some of the officials here is that you got to put the time in, and it's going to take a little bit of an effort. That's got to be nice to see, because you have to invest if you're going to be a good official.
You do, and I think that the other thing that people often forget is the long-term benefit of officiating and the brotherhood, the sisterhood that is associated with officiating. And some of my best friends, I've never officiated, but some of my best friends are officials.
Okay, I've been curious from the one standpoint that really came up a lot too was the sportsmanship side of it, and that might be right on top. How do you get people interested in something when they know they could get verbally abused, and that can be really tough on a lot of people?
Well, I think learning and teaching people how to deal with adversity and people yelling at them and screaming at them, none of us like that.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to be yelled at, but how do you close that out when you're out there in the courts? And a lot of times, as you become more experienced and you have louder crowds, you learn to just block that out. But when you're young and there's only 60 people and it's only parents in the crowd, that's hard to block that out. And teaching them to do that.
But that message needs to also go to coaches. It needs to go to the fans. And I know the IHSA does a really good job of sending that message out there to be respectful, not only to the players and the coaches, but the referees as well. But we all know that doesn't always end up being the case.
Yeah, and I think if you really take a step back from all of this, 95% of the fans are good. They really are. It's the 5% that we have to move that needle just a little bit on that 5%. Yeah.
Then how do you do that? I mean, I'm probably asking a question we've all been asking ourselves. How do you do that to ensure that we're going to have officials? Because if you don't have them, we're not going to be playing any games.
Well, I think it's the awareness factor. It's continuing to raise awareness to everybody out there. Again, Officially Human is out there trying to humanize officials, and you can have subtle messages. You can have signage.
Yeah.
You can have patches on officials' arms. It's really just communicating with your constituents.
A lot of times you'll see the fans react as a coach reacts too, and I know that I don't want to put coaches on the spot. I've been a coach, Keith has been a coach, and sometimes you get emotionally involved in it to the point where you make some mistakes yourself, so they got to understand that too.
Well, and I think as a coach, if you make those mistakes, you communicate that back to your parents and your students, because you don't want your players acting like that. There's one person that should be communicating with the officials, and that really is the coach.
Well, unfortunately, Keith, though, he didn't listen very much. See, he wasn't. See, he did that a lot.
I was a great coach. I only lost by 10 for once. Debbie will tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. As we wrap this up, the cool thing is it's a lot of fun to have association behind the stripes. We did a couple years ago during COVID. Big success. I know we're going to try to launch that again. If someone's out there that would like to help fund all this, how do they contact your office, or how do they contact someone to get involved?
I would email me at bhilton@big10.org.
There you go. Big Ten tournament this weekend. You're going back home, I hear.
I am, but I will be watching every game from my couch.
And I know you brought my favorite official, which was me tonight, but then Bill Borowski showed up tonight, so that's good.
And you moved to the bottom, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, because I was looking for him, and Troy picked him up. So I don't know, picked him up in the popcorn line, I think. The Horizon League tournament tonight, good games, good officials. I met the 3 guys that are working the game. They're excited. They're young officials. Young guys are getting an opportunity. Young girls are getting an opportunity. That's good.
Yeah, and I think we just need to continue this messaging. Continue talking about getting more people involved in officiating, and we'll make some moves.
We love you. You know that.
Thank you.
That almost wraps it up for us, Troy. That's been an eventful event, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've learned a lot. Even being an official myself, and I know you formerly being an official, you can never stop learning, because when you listen to Bo, you listen to some of the other guys to understand what it takes to be an official. It can be very rewarding if you go into it with the right mindset, understanding that you got to start here and get to here.
Yep.
That's what you really have to do.
The best thing of the evening, though, other than Brenda's interview, was the chicken.
I haven't had any. I've been working the whole time.
I hid for 35 minutes. That wraps it up for us. It's IndianaSRN. If you like to watch any high school sports or Division III college sports, you can do that right here on IndianaSRN. If you need more information about us, contact us at coach@IndianaSRN. For Brenda Hilton and Troy Derogowski, Jerry Collins, and Nick Lewis, our camera guys tonight, thank you very much, and God bless.